Hello. Welcome back to our next Let's Learn. We're doing a quick one here. This is It will be of Covert Action, a old school. It was 1991, maybe 90. Either way, it's early 90s action game that combines multiple mini games into basically playing as a CIA agent. Let's go ahead and start this up. We'll go over some stuff. This is going to be different from the usual Let's Plays, which show full game completion. Yeah, it's a little different with this type of game, and we'll go into why. All right, so you hit the main menu. You have different options. You can go to you can choose your difficulty. This does have a major impact. A global crisis, but it's by far the hardest one. I recommend playing on either national threat or regional conflict. Those are fairly balanced. Local is great if you're new to the game. Global crisis is no joke. Even with maxed out skills on certain ones, you cannot get the difficulty lower. Difficulty is balanced around certain modifiers. I would suggest looking up the Covert Action wiki as they can explain it better than I can. But basically, combat, if you don't max out your combat first, you're going to have a very hard time on anything higher than national because the enemies get much more lethal at the regional conflict, and global crisis is a very hard combat simulator. Same with electronics and cryptography. Sorry, cryptography. All right, so I'm going to show this as a local. Now, this is a menu you'll see when you go inside, create your character as well. Generally speaking, these are the mini games. Yeah, you can honestly ignore most of them, but we'll go into that in a moment. I just want to show off what cryptography looks like. Now, on lower difficulty settings and with higher, oop, with higher. Oh, hang on. Let's pause this first. There. Crap. There needs to be a way to easily pause this. Hold on. Guess not. Well, anyway, it used to, cryptography is pretty easy. The higher your skill and the lower the difficulty setting, the more you're going to have right away. And you can use the F1 button to scan it and get some hints. As words form, you can get a general idea what's going on. And once you get a certain amount, I believe it is 90%, then it will automatically complete. Now, note what it says here. This is a generic message. And then it's not part of an actual case or anything. So you can see it's just generic greeting and conversation piece. And you can see that this is where completed saves go through. Anyway, we're going to go create a new character. Now, your gender does not matter. Mechanically speaking, it does not matter. The only thing it will change is your assistant at the CIA office will always be the opposite gender of your character. So if you pick the Maxine Remington, you'll get a male assistant and vice versa. It doesn't matter your code name or anything. There's no specialty, so you just pick whatever. Now, difficulty is, like I said, there are going to be different modifiers. And your starting skill, you cannot improve your skills. You can, however, max out a skill. And I will always suggest maxing out combat. You can work around low cryptography, and driving is not necessary. Just ignore driving for the most part, as well as electronics. Electronics, you only need, well, there's a little strategy you can do with electronics. We're going to be playing this on local disturbance. Now, another thing to note is your difficulty will determine your plot. You do not get the crazy world ending plot chains unless you play on the highest difficulty. On the other hand, you will also get a rotating pool, so to speak, of missions that could be from the lower difficulties if you play on global. However, local, well, will have a low level plot. National will incorporate local and national. Regional will apply the previous two as well as its own plot pool. And then some plot chains you can only see if you fail multiple cases in the chain. And then the chain will just keep repeating at the end until it is solved. So yeah. All right, so we're going to be maxing out our combat here because again, this is probably the most useful one because at higher difficulties, you will have a much faster enemies that will be more aggressive. The maximum level you can get is awesome. And in theory, you could just boost up all of them by one. But it's better just to specialize. Now, crypto is easy. Crypto is really easy once you understand the tricks behind it. And only on the higher difficulties do you need to really be concerned about it. But we're going to go, electronics first, the last one. Now, on local disturbance for your very first case, you always get a scripted one. However, there is a gameplay loop which we will go into after we solve the case. See? Now, this is the copy protection, but we are using the version from GOG, so it doesn't matter. But, it's always nice to, do it anyway, because, old school memory. Remember correctly, it was, no, I remember correctly, he's the PFO head. These are all actual portraits of masterminds in the game that you will capture as part of, trying to save the world from terrorism. That's Red Battalion, that's Shining Way, Stasi, Mafia. I thought it was Amazon Cartel there. Mercenaries over there, anyway. Again, doesn't matter because this is a GOG version. Okay, so there are 3 different areas. This is Khartoum, so this is Africa and the Middle East. Now, for your first starting clues, you will have a lot of clues at lower difficulties. Global Crisis, you have almost nothing. Rebellion. All right. Make sure to save constantly as well. This is local difficulty, so we shouldn't need to worry much. Okay, so something interesting to know about hideouts is these are where masterminds are. Don't know. So let's see. Okay, so this is Africa and Middle East. There are 3 theaters of operation. You got South America and Central America, Europe, parts of the North Africa, and you got Africa and the Middle East. Some organizations may have agents working in different theaters, but only the masterminds will only be for specific one. And you almost never will see an agent from well, I'm trying to think of the right word. For out of its native biome, for so to speak. So let's say you got Tupamaros, who are a Central America, South America group, right? You will almost never see agents of theirs in Europe or North Africa. and you'll almost never see European ones out in over in Central America. So once you've arrested all the masterminds of the regions, you know, organizations, you will not see that one region come up anymore for mission areas. So we got red battalion had out. Now on lower difficulty, your assistant will tell you right away what you should, a relevant one. Now we're going to place a wiretap on lower difficulties. You have more time, most at a low level alert. Pause this. There we go. Okay, I was finally all right. So on lower difficulties, you can pause it. I'm sorry. On lower difficulties, on low alert or no alert, you have more time, up to 10 minutes. And the higher your skill, the lower the difficulty of the minigame, the electronics minigame. Now, electronics is used for placing wiretaps as well as placing tracers on cars. And it could be a very useful one if you're kind of lazy and just want to identify a hideout or an unknown building. Yeah. First off, you got to find a spare key. Be careful about tripping the alarm, however. So as you successfully wiretap, you get more information right away, and we have two messages here, which we should back out and go decode. You will, on your very first mission for the ultra code, you will always get a message intercepted from the mastermind of that plot. Erica Cook is clearly a suspect because she is sending a lot of messages. So even if you don't have a clue right away, you can look at your crypto in your intercepted messages, and you'll see the names of suspects who are most likely involved. On higher difficulty levels, there are red herrings, but I have not actually seen a. It's been a very long time since I've seen a mission that actually had one of those. So it's probably safe to assume it's a very rare thing, even on higher difficulty. So once you see some of the names, or rather the letters, you get very quickly. Yeah. Now you look at the double letters. There are not that many double letters that can work. So once you've found the first and last letter of a word, you can probably quickly figure out what it's going on. Okay, so we didn't get the right one. This is not the one with the mastermind. The mastermind will just directly talk about your involvement. Okay, so the agent in Washington is involved. It's amazing when you have the mastermind right in Washington, because if you go for the mastermind first, when you find out who it is or you have a suspicion of who it is, you can make them confess right away and get identification for everybody else involved. Okay, so look for a received message on your very first case. That will be where your next, where your mastermind is coming from. See, there we go. Found the max remittance. Oh, there we go. So I forgot to mention the story. The narrative of Covert Action is that the player's character is a freelance secret agent, which is kind of odd. But this is basically a Hollywood stylized version of what the CIA does. All right, so once you find the Remington phrase, you can easily solve it. So Riyadh, Agent A, Red September. Okay, so this is Red September. They're usually in Europe, though. If you have access to the Covert Action Manual, it goes into more detail about the organizations. Some of them are based on real life ones that were active at the time. Some are similar in name or role, so to speak. All right, so we're going to ignore the guy here. We go straight to Riyadh because we now know where the mastermind is. Go to Riyadh, and we're going to look around for Red September at hideout. Now, an easy way if you know who the mastermind of a case is. Well, first you could do a cheesy strat by saving early on and then breaking into an organization involved in the plot, and then taking photos and such until you have access to names and such. Then you can keep breaking into computers and running names until you get a hit. Again, this is doing a lot of saving and reloading in the process. So what we're going to do here is break in, and we're going to look for the location. Your door choice does matter because if you're going into a location you have no idea on, you may end up in an ambush. And there also will be some maps that have unpassable walls in the sense of you can end up going. Let's say you go to two, well, you can end up not being able to access the rest of the building. And when you go inside, if you surprise a guard, and actually take their outfit until you see the agent. Infiltrating, make sure to not leave stuff open. Guards get suspicious very fast on higher difficulties. Looking for more terminals in order to access network. On higher difficulties, this is not a valid strategy unless you're going inside the Mastermind's organization. Now you can do a partial search string, and if there's a location inside the city, You'll find it. This only works on lower difficulties. On national or global, you need to break into the faction that you suspect has the mastermind. And we have the location. We're going to go and get out and arrest the mastermind. Long as you do not get caught or cause an alarm, you can just do this freely. Remember, every action takes time in this game. And note there's a little bit of alert. On higher difficulties, you will have to deal with the idea of a double agent, which can alert a faction in the city. They start appearing on national threat and become much more common on regional conflict and global crisis, to where you have at least 4 or 5 per. And those are the ones you need to be careful about, because they can give you bad info, as well as alert enemy factions in the city when you come there. Meaning you can end up having a situation where everywhere is on high alert. If something appears, if something seems off on higher difficulty, where like there's the cities are much more alert than usual, then it's possible you have a double agent. You can also find orange safes inside break-in missions that will tell you if there is a double agent or not. Now, this isn't a multi-door one. I prefer the ones with one door, because that means it's impossible to get into a place where you can explore and then have to break in again, as well as you know clear path. Now, when we go in, look, if you have the motion detector, which you always should, you will have to see what's going on, see where all the guards are at. Yep. Okay. Also, note the masterminds will not be in the same location every single time. In the sense of, every time the mission is generated, well, every time the save is, a new game is started, the mastermind's location will decided to be the start of a new game. So you can end up having him here in Riyadh one game, or you can have him in Tel Aviv next game. So when the mastermind's locations will always be fixed. The agents they use in a mission may change. However, their location will always be fixed at the start of a new game. It is entirely possible not to get them in the same thing twice. On lower difficulties, you will get a lot of information out of these safes, as well as files and all that. Make sure, if you want to access a safe in a wall or an orange safe, you need the safe cracking kit. Just make sure to press the enter button every time you want to interact with an object. So on higher difficulties, you do need to break into the faction that you suspect has the mastermind. And on higher difficulties, you will not get access to the mastermind's info unless you find their hideout. Now, something to know about masterminds is they will never, ever, ever leave their hideout. You have to break in order to get them. So this is why on higher difficulty, it can be a very dangerous thing. Note there is no movement, so we haven't found out where the spawn is. I think he's in the next room. Oh crap! Yeah. So exit fire now. When you break into a hideout that has either the mastermind or an important item to the current case's plot, you'll see a lot of guards guarding the item. That is an indication where they are. You have to have the motion detector, however. And we're about to cause an alert. All right, so personnel files. These things are amazing. They will give you names of every every agent in that faction that is involved in the plot. Not every single, agent. Well, sorry, not every single faction in a plot will be involved. Rather, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Not every single faction you could break into in a case will have people involved in that plot. This is a great way to rule out factions. Something to note is a mastermind will never appear on this list. And there's the mastermind. All right, so every time you break into an orange safe, you can get a random item. You can get items that you could actually equip. All right, maybe better explain that. So you saw we got stun grenades out of that. You can get a gas mask. I think you can actually get body armor, as well as other types of grenades. But orange safes, you want to crack them open because they tend to have sensitive information, like the personnel file we just saw, or the master plan of people photographs and everything. Always worth it. You can also do some cheesy stuff with those by if you find let's say you find a room with 2 safes right inside the entrance. You can save, go inside, pop them, and reload if you don't find anything what you're looking for. Like basically, you'll be looking for blackmail information, which is something I hope we can show soon. And if you have any decoded messages prior to arresting an agent, they will admit to sending a message. Otherwise, they will be adamant that they did nothing. Now, for non-mastermind agents, you do need to have evidence. I know, considering this is a Hollywood version of CIA, all black bagging people and everything, I know it's kind of funny, right? But you do need evidence on lower difficulty, which is why if you start a new case, you should try to cheese it by saving early on, breaking into the HQ of whoever you think is involved the most, then go back and see if you can find a name. Then track down the names you find till you find one that might be the mastermind. At that point, you want to find a mastermind, take them out first, and then they automatically give you all the evidence for the other agents involved. See? So every time you arrest a mastermind is a guaranteed mission reveal. And at that point, it's just a matter of going and getting to the others before they can, go into hiding. And you'll get automatic decoding of other messages. Yeah, well, once you've got the mastermind, you don't need to worry about getting any other evidence or waiting for the crime to progress in order to get incriminating stuff. The automatic, just at that point you're cleaning up. Now, a mission chain will continue until the mastermind of that chain is completed. Any mastermind can do any mission, chain. It's part of the gameplay loop, which we'll go into near the end of this video. Let's continue on. We don't need to place a wiretap in order to identify the building, but I do want to show you how this is easy to do. We have 10 minutes. Good. All you need to do is get one phone tapped. All you need is one phone tapped in order to identify a location. So now we're going to go break in. It's also another opportunity like orange safes. If you get lucky and get a floor layout with computers right away, that really will help you later on. See what I'm talking about. See all of the facts, all of an organization within the active plot. Now there are some things you can do, like here he says you can put a bug in it, but I've never really gotten much use out of those, even years ago, prior to any of this. And honestly, I think if you're in a position where you suspect you need bugs, you're better off just breaking in using taking photos. Good thing we got combat maxed out, because this is a mess. I want to see if we can find a safe for anything. Now, something to note about the alarm is, whenever you arrest the agent that's home, you will cause an alarm, and it will be permanently going until you exit out. Oh, there's a safe. So we're gonna see if we got lucky here. Oh, apparently not. Well, there's some other rooms. Oh. We're gonna go over arresting and combat notes at the end here. So we're gonna do another case after this to show what it looks like outside of the very easy one. Get guaranteed. So we will be going more into mini games and such. Right now, I just want to show out what the basic, everything looks like at the start. All right, so yeah, we couldn't find it. Now, if you open an orange safe and you see a suspect file, that means you found double blackmail material. Ah, okay. So when you have multiple agents in one city, you might want to take a time to find the agent location, because it will save some trouble later. Now let's see. You can look at them in organization. So we're looking for Red Battalion, right? So what we're going to do here is look who their associates are, as well as their allies. They have no allies active here, but they do have a PFO office and they're an associate. So we could try to see if he visits there. Not him. Before you do this, you might want to consider saving, because sometimes the RG can really screw you. Not him. Looks like him. All right, so we're going to trace the car. You get 2 minutes because it is a much more dangerous one, so to speak. Note the router. You basically want to make sure all the green on you only need to light up. Let's see, 5 out of 6 here. Same with the phones, but with the phones you really don't need to light up one in order to get the ID to place, because phone tapping is, you get much better information just breaking in. If you're gonna be doing that kind of thing, just break in. You'll probably find what you're looking for anyway while doing there. It is entirely possible breaking in to get smoking gun evidence, as well as you can do it with raiding their computer. You can also break in and it will give you the information. As in, you can break in, exit, and then auto identify. But we need the Khartoum location as well. Something you know is the passwords are always random. The Covert Action wiki does have a very nice password solver on it. So the password changes from break-in to break-in. Can't just use one all the time, unfortunately. Up there's the agent. See, this is why you should be careful about which door you choose, because you end up right on top of them, and that can be a problem. Something you know about combat is if you can move over an enemy unit, and it gives you 1 wound. With body armor, you can take 4 total before you lose combat. Without body armor, you can only take 2. On higher difficulty, body armor is absolutely necessary. Let's see if we can find some safes. Oh, there's one there. Let's see if we can get lucky, because I want to show unfortunate. So right now we're going to be looking for the next agent location. Another shot, huh? Okay, so this is the master plan I was talking about during the Mastermind location. As who's involved, what their portraits look like, and what their status is. Alright, so maybe we'll get lucky in our next break-in. Alright. Got what you're looking for. So for the most part, you'll have semi-unlimited spawning guards. On higher difficulties, they'll keep spawning until you get out, or you are captured. Now, you can lay traps and such with grenades that'll help you out. You do timed booby trap or remote control. Could go back to Washington, but we're gonna go over here because we go to Washington. It's a shorter trip, but we won't get the really big one. Now, but remember, we at the start we known the newness. We wouldn't have spent the extra time looking for the hideout. That's on me. Sorry. Okay, notice the guards spawn start. That is where the agent is. Once you take out a guard, they are gone. can't still deal with respawning guards. I know it's weird. Yeah, we're not gonna try to look around because we've been dragging on along as it is. Okay, and once you hear the music, it means you can no longer progress the case. Now, depending on how fast you move, you can end up having a situation where you can either get one or none. But as long as you get the Mastermind, the mission is considered a success. And a lot of this comes down to how fast, how far away from your starting point the Mastermind is. And I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think that they reuse the specific name and agent, agent info. So we may see another Erica Cook. She won't be with that face, and she won't be Red Battalion, for example. Now let's talk about the scoring. So you see the EP. Now, if you manage to turn an agent into a double agent, you get double the bonus. On higher difficulties is required in order to get access to the casino ending. Each mission has an ending that is gated by your points as well as the difficulty. On higher difficulty, you have better chances of turning agents than you are required, honestly, in order to get that big score. And you get points for arresting, confiscating any generated mission loot, as well as arresting a mastermind. So again, you can never turn a mastermind. You can turn everybody else, and you can actually turn an agent, allow them to progress the plot in order to steal their stuff. In order for them to acquire mission loot, break in, confiscate it, and just let them go. They'll keep doing it too. Get a huge bonus for preventing a crime. Notice the efficiency. So this is an estimation of simply just arresting every single person involved in a plot, as well as confiscating any generated mission evidence. You can exceed that amount by turning one or more agents. So yeah, in order to get the high end endings, you need to play on higher difficulties. And this is generic. There is no actual story in the game past. You get given an assignment, and depending on how you perform the mission, the president and the CIA chief are either very happy with you, or the chief is mad at you but keeps bringing you in because the president has confidence in you. And once you capture a mastermind of a faction, that faction's mastermind is off the table. They will never appear again. And that means that their native region, and if I'm correct, Red September's native region is Europe. They will be completely removed. I'm going to take a quick look because I'm like 90% sure Red September is supposed to be native to Europe. All right, theater operations. Oh, Red September is apparently actually Africa. Okay, I must have misunderstood that one. So yeah, this and we're going to be going into more info about that in a moment. So since we're on local difficulty, you got Secretarial Pool, which is the second best possible. Well, Okay, so there's 4 different ones depending on your mission performance. Oh, and your player character determines who you see here. Since we're playing as a male max, we are we will see opposite gender. If we were playing as a female max, we would be seeing men in here. Okay, and you'll have red text every time you arrest a mastermind. And your ranking starts at 100 and you skyrocket depending on how much you get. I don't think it is possible to get a 001 rating. I believe you would have to be playing on Global Crisis and have arrested every single one. I believe it's actually possible. It's more likely to arrest all 25 masterminds over getting to 001 rank. Now, every time you arrest a mastermind, you can change the difficulty level. This is a very useful thing. You can only do it here after the post mission briefing when a mastermind is arrested. So, it's something to be aware of. If you have trouble on a higher difficulty and you can somehow caveman your way to arresting the mastermind, use that to go back down to a lower one. All right, so let's see. The theater operations. Europe will have groups like Marxist, PIFA, Red Battalion, Stasi, and some African groups. Africa will include things like the Muslim Jihad, Revolutionary Guards, PRC, Red September, and some European and American groups. Plots that unfold in America will be mostly South American people like Haitian Junta, mercenaries, Tupamaros, and so on. Now, your allies organizations will be in every single theater. Let's continue on with our next one because I want to show. We're going to continue on local because again, this is just showing it off. This is the gameplay loop. You will investigate, find mastermind if you can, arrest them, and get the rest. If you've played it a lot in the past, and you'll remember some names. Some names can show up. You should keep a note on who and which names you see. You cannot see you will not receive the mastermind name of an organization that is not involved. By that I mean we just arrested Pierre Verne, right? So if he is not the mastermind of a plot, he will not be showing up inside any searches or anything. So let's see, where's our next one? Okay, so this is a Central America. So this is a South American mission. And we'll just keep going through here. So Isadora Grivas. You have a name to look for right away. And he always says best research this is always the same person. Making gang right away. Okay, so we're gonna break in. Once you've gotten the hang of the combat, you can just go straight to breaking in. You don't need to mess around with wiretaps or anything. What we're doing is looking for information on lower difficulties when your assistant says, "Hey, this organization has this agent or hideout or whatever here." That indicates that organization is involved, even if it is just one agent that's not actually the mastermind's group or anything. So it's a great way on higher difficulties to get a general idea. Okay, so you see the coded messages, right? This is someone that's involved. You will never see coded messages for anybody who is not involved. And you can get partial decoding, but you need a message fully decoded or somebody identified by the mastermind as guilty. Up there she is. So we know she's involved. Oh, let's pause this. So I almost forgot. Agents in a city are, well, they're generated in a strange way. Basically, if you have to have a name, you have to have you have to have some details first. One as a name. Two, you have to identify an agent being within a city of that belongs to an organization. And another is that agent will not be generated, will not be present until they are identified as being part of the plot or not being part of the plot. Which means you have to also hope they're in the city. By default, agents will be in a city when you start investigating, and airport surveillance will tell you whether or not an agent has left their home city or gone to another one. If you try to break into a city that has two agents meeting, for example, you can only arrest the one agent, which is an interesting idea because it means you could actually arrest somebody while they're meeting somebody else. Okay, sometimes when you open up a computer, well, not computer, but a file cabinet, you can get them identified as part of the plot. You can also look at the computer, automatically determine whether or not they're involved or not. Ah, and here we got some equipment, so you can get a gas mask randomly. Maru. Basically, you want to take photos and see if you can get some names. Names will give you clues as to who's involved. Who? Julio. Oh, that's the Tupa Maru's mastermind. If I remember right. Memory coming back. So once you played it a few times, you will end up remembering some of these names. Also, something to note: once you have their role identified, you don't need to find any other evidence. It helps, but you don't need to. At that point, they're automatically identified, and you don't need to get smoking gun. Once the role is revealed, you don't need to worry. I'm gonna take a quick look around, see if we can find another orange to save. The layouts are random once the case starts. Once the case starts, then they're finalized, so you can be really unlucky and get an agent with no saves or an agent with a lot of like this. Fortunately, there's no way of knowing until you've broken in. Oh, so useful, huh? Okay, he's not the mastermind. That's not the Tupamaru's guy. That was wrong. Been a long time, but I did remember he's got similar sounding one. Also, interesting that the alarm stopped because it's not supposed to stop. You've arrested. Making gang. Might actually cause an alarm if we end up going back inside the agent's room. We're not going to do that. So it's not the Jamaican gang. Hmm. I don't remember that damn tomorrow's guy. Let me see if I can. There we go. I think it might be possible on here. Ah, they never put a list of the mastermind. Okay. Oh, all right. We couldn't find any information. Unfortunate. So I don't think Tupamaros or the Jamaican gang mastermind are in this one. All right, we screwed around enough. Let's go continue the case on. Oh, Mossad. Interesting. So sometimes you can have an inside contact within Mossad or MI6, which is interesting because if I remember correctly, in real life there were actual turncoats in Mossad and MI6, certainly in the CIA as well. So despite this being a Hollywood simulation of sorts, that's actually true. These things actually did happen. Remember, you always know where Mossad and MI6 are because they're allied, and for stuff like this, whenever there's an inside contact for one of the two, those are the only times you will ever break into those buildings because they are allies and they will never have masterminds involved. Oh, this is so helpful. So the big min max way to do break-ins is hope you have a floor safe at the start. Break in, get a floor plan, get out, and then save, and then keep reloading and looking at where the floor safe locations are, looking for incriminating evidence. So there's quite a few here in the agent room as well as the next room. Ah, excellent. So this is what it looks like when you have incriminated evidence. Incriminated evidence only works for the agent you are breaking into, as well as has to be involved in the plot. You cannot find incriminating evidence otherwise. Now, something interesting is if you break into a floor safe and you have not identified somebody as being involved in the plot that you are breaking into, they will become identified. So, yeah, it's something to remember. If you're having trouble identifying somebody. Howdy, partner. Oh, that's the Mastermind. Know that name. That is Haitian Junta. Means we need to go pay a visit to them soon. Panama. Yep. All right, there we go. So you know the Mastermind now. Meaning we got to find a Haitian Junta to check. You already know the location of a hideout there. Don't. We need to break into Haitian Junta and go find that. Officer Havana, Managua, Rio. Tomorrow's Jamaican Way, Shining Way. All right, so we're gonna have to go to Panama and break in somewhere and get the location because we are got to do multiple break-ins, and this is okay. You can also just trace random people and see hope someone goes to it. It is possible in order to get access to the Mastermind's location as well. Look at that, we got lucky. So you can trace somebody from an allied organization to get here. There's a Mastermind location, so keep an eye on radar. On higher difficulties, they'll be much more alert, especially if you've been arresting people. Oh, they found us already, I guess. Ooh. I quit screwing around then. So keep in mind, you only have a certain amount of ammo per mission. Alright, so I'm going to look up the password. The Covert Action Wiki is a great resource for even experienced players. It has a nice little chart here. Yet you can try to solve a password if you have limited terminals, which is something that happens often. First, I would see 7 letters. Begins with S, ends in Yeah, that should be streets. Phew. There you can go. We got what we needed. We're getting out. If you take too many wounds during a mission, you end up having a recovery period. You can't take a few hours out of your day. And we didn't get one because we're on low difficulty. So Tel Aviv, Washington and London will always be accessed no matter the region. I don't know why. I guess because Assad and MI6 headquarters. Let's see. Bacon, okay. Oh, while we're here, we should look for the cartel as well. So when we break in, we're going to look for the Colombian cartel's location. That would have been useful a moment ago. Oh, we're looking for gang. Oops. Yeah. Look, I wasn't paying attention. Breaking in for the sake of breaking in now. So we're gonna do a chain. Go for gang and then cartel. Alternatively, we can just trace and break in. We'd also get lucky and get terminals to fucking. There she is. All right, let's get her. Make sure to pay attention to the crosshairs. If you have the crosshairs, that means have locked target and you will hit. Otherwise, you miss. You should only be firing when you have the crosshairs. So break in. That's kind of what I was talking about right there. Very easy setup. Sometimes when you open the safe, nothing. Honestly, we're just gonna let him go. I can't be bothered. So you can go to here if you're stuck on information. You can go to it. Here get some information from local informant. If it is a city involved, only cities involved will have this. Oh, damn! Whoops. I thought we got the kidnapper. Oh well, so bad luck happens. So yeah, notice we lost a good chunk because we didn't find the pilot and we didn't get the kidnapper. And again, secretarial pool. It is possible to get a casino ending on. Oh, sorry, the beach is okay. There's 4 different endings. One is the laundromat. That's the lowest rating. You would have to let the plot go constantly and not make any arrests. Then you got the secretarial pool, which is that one, and then you have the beach, which is the ending for getting over 1,000 points, and then you have the casino, which is over 1500, if I remember right. Casino is much more likely to happen at higher difficulties, and it is a good reward. It's a great ending if you had to turn every single agent as well as confiscate any evidence that is generated, as well as the mastermind. At this point, you can see we have two masterminds done, and then that means there are 24 left. So the fastest way you can end the campaign is by getting 26 cases, which is easiest to do on local. On higher difficulties, you're going to have to deal with stronger combat as well as dealing with the mastermind. Anyway, so basically, this is the gameplay loop. You investigate, you look for the information on the mastermind, and then you arrest the mastermind. Always go for the mastermind first if you can, which is as soon as you have an idea of who the name is. The mastermind name never changes. It will always be the same mastermind for each group per game. So Pierre Vern will always be the Red September one. Franco de la Rosa, it will always be Haitian Junta, so on. Just their location changes from game to game, as well as the theater they are in. But basically, that is it. It is a pretty straightforward game. It just has issues with minigames being kind of uneven, as well as driving and cryptography being unnecessary. As in, you can straight ignore them. In electronics, you only need to do either tracing once or wiretapping once, and that's pretty much it. But the gameplay loop is there. You go in, get the case info, you start looking for the name of the mastermind, then you go for the mastermind because the mastermind will turn on everybody else. So yeah, anyway, that is pretty much it. And it's a pretty straightforward game, and it is honestly fun for doing it at time and fulfilling the fantasy of being a Hollywood style CIA agent, toppling all the bad guys in the world, kind of like a more serious Frank Drebin. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time for our next Let's Learn.